Hello, and welcome to week 6 of GMGT 590 Operations Management. Well, it's getting to the home stretch. It's getting almost done. And what we're going to do today, this week, is we're going to go over several topics to a small extent. Most of these, if you wanted to, you could take an entire course on these topics alone. However, there are things that I think you should know about and be aware of because they're likely to come up in a business environment. However, at this point, maybe you don't need to know the details as to what and how to do them. Well, with the exception of risk pooling, because that's just a good idea. But anyway, so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about several topics. First of all, lean processing, just-in-time processing. We've talked about how to improve the process and probably talked about it ad nauseum. What we're going to talk about this week, for starters, is how do we make our process better? The nuts and bolts, if you will, of how to make our process better. It's one thing to say, okay, we need to improve this step of the process, or we need to rearrange these steps of the process so that the work is more evenly divided. Well, what we're going to do this week is we're going to look at it from a slightly different perspective, the nuts and bolts. How do we look at a specific process in detail and make decisions as to how to improve it, and ultimately how to make what is known as a lean process. The second thing that we're going to talk about this week is one of those topics, to give you an idea, my first semester here at St. John Fisher, I asked my undergrad students to calculate MRP charts. That did not go well. But what I am going to do is I am going to go over the basics of MRP, how it works, why it works, what it's good for, because MRP has some uses where traditional inventory management doesn't work so well. And what MRP created, what MRP spawned. Because it's from MRP that we get that thing that, for lack of a better way of putting it, is the bane of offices everywhere, known as ERP, Enterprise Resource Programming. And we're going to talk a little bit about that revolution and why it happened. The third thing that we're going to discuss this week is something that is related to past topics, and that is this idea of risk pooling. Now, we've seen that risk is there. It's a part of our process. We've seen it with regard to our processes itself in week 3. We saw it with regard to quality in week 4. We certainly saw it with regard last week in inventory management. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to look at ways to perhaps mitigate our risk and to quite possibly minimize it. So this week we're going to have 3 topics. First, how to make a lean process, how to make a just-in-time process. Second, MRP and ERP systems. And third, risk pooling. Remember, you're almost home. There's about, hopefully by the time you're watching this, definitely less than 3 weeks, but possibly closer to 2. So, just some reminders. There is the Excel project coming up. Be sure that you're getting work done in that. And don't forget that the final will be coming up with week 7. And just for a heads up on what's going to be going on with week 7. With week 7, I don't give homework. With week 7, I don't give the video quiz. What I do on week 7 is I want you to finish things up. I want you to finish up the want you to finish up the Excel project. I want you to work on the exam. That'll be given out the Thursday of week 7. And also, we're going to talk about supply chain management. And, well, supply chain management is that topic that sort of wraps everything up because in many ways it brings us to the beginning of the course, just looking at it from a whole different perspective. Be well, take care, and good luck this week.